Hey guys, so here's some interview tips from, everything from like when I've interviewed hairstylists for the salon to multiple nurses, medics, and techs for the Mercy ED and Children's ED. So this is what I kind of like to see. I like to see investment, I like to see interest, and I like to see like intellectual intelligence, things like that. So I'm trying to think of some of the questions that I ask. And when I say I ask, I mean questions that are set by human resources. Tell me about yourself. And I'll kind of go into details on each of these. So tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work in fill in the blank department? This is a question that we asked in the ED. Working in an emergency department can be very difficult, especially in a pediatric emergency department. Tell us about a difficult day that you've had and how did you overcome it? Or tell us about a difficult time, situation, something like that. Let's see here. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Here's a good one. Tell us about a time that you had a conflict with somebody and how did you resolve it? And then one of our classmates just recently had, tell us about a time that you were rude to somebody and how did you resolve it? It's kind of a weird question. So now regarding investment, or I guess here, let me start over. Regarding interest. So when I say, why do you want to work? I'll use the PTD for example. Hey, so why do you want to work in the Children's Emergency Department? If you tell me, I just really love kids, it's not a bad answer. I mean, I'd rather you say that than I freaking hate kids. However, if I can tell that you have like researched the Children's Emergency Department, that you have spoken to other people that work there, and that you are legitimately like, I'm interested in your Children's Emergency Department. So you say things like, and this would be difficult to find, but I'm just going to make up something. So you say, well, I heard that there has been significant like construction additions to the emergency department. There's obvious growth in the population of Mecklenburg County. There's obvious growth in the just patient load that you've had. The like where I want to go as a clinician, how I want to grow in intelligence and experience, I really think that the Children's Emergency Department would be a very good match for me. I want to be in a fast-growing, fast-moving, fast-paced environment that's going to push me as a clinician. That answer is significantly different than I just love kids. Let's see here. Tell us about a tough day you've had, or working in the emergency department can be difficult or tough, especially children's. Tell us about a tough day that you had and how did you overcome it? So I'm going to tell you my example. Obviously, I don't expect everybody to have this specific example, but like take away the theme of what I'm trying to say. So I said, so a couple years ago, I had a double pediatric drowning, an 8 and 10-year-old. My 8-year-old died. The 10-year-old actually lived and was discharged neurologically intact. That was the worst call I've ever had in all of EMS, and I've had some bad calls. How I overcame it. So I had my partner who was an EMT and then a paramedic student, my friend Molly, on the ambulance with me. And so all three of us collaborated and made the decision to take off the rest of the day. And I told my partner, I said, I cannot guarantee you, I can't, that our next call is not going to be another pediatric arrest. It's completely possible. And we need to be able to give our patients a 10 out of 10 excellent care each time. And if we have something going on that we are unable to, we need to reevaluate whether we need to or not. And so I looked out for myself emotionally, and I looked out for my, those around me emotionally as well. We left work that late afternoon. We went to a brewery. We really just kind of went over the call, and that's how we got through it. So like, you could mention like my mom died and my siblings and I are now closer because of it. I wish we'd been closer before. However, this is where we're at right now, and so we now are able to support each other differently. Or my parents divorced, or I lost whatever. I mean, if you have a hard time getting examples, or if you think your example's not, like, don't be like, I'm young and I haven't had a lot of jobs, I'm not gonna have something good. That's bullshit. Like y'all are freaking awesome people. So if you have a difficult time coming up with an example, let me know, or let your advisor know. And I'm not guaranteed saying that question's going to be asked. Why do you want to work in the emergency department? Tell us about a rough day. Okay, so this is going to be an easy one. That's actually normally a difficult one. What are your strengths and weaknesses? I feel like I am, because of nursing school, it is I feel like I've always struggled in communication. However, throughout nursing school, it has, forced me to become comfortable and stronger in communication with people I don't know, which is not my forte in the past. And so I feel like I have gained significant experience in patient communication, in communication with physicians, whether that's even true or not, because that's difficult. And an obvious weakness is that I have a ton of experience in a ton of different locations in the hospital. I do not, unfortunately, have a ton of experience in your department. So I would say that my weakness right now is what I'm also most excited about, is learning your department and learning the devices in your department, the medications that are most used, things like that. So like, use your strength to describe your weakness that is an obvious weakness, because all of us, I mean, if I go to ICU, I don't freaking know crap about ICU. So yeah. Tell us about a time that you had a difficult interaction with somebody, or they'll probably say the word conflict. That's always the buzzword. Tell us about a time you had a conflict with somebody and how did you overcome it? Think of some type of, this is what I want to hear. This is the situation. I'm driving with no hands right now. This is the situation. I assertively and respectfully, extremely respectfully, confronted the person. We had open communication about what bothered him and what bothered me. We came to a solution and all was good. And then you add on to the end. However, I do recognize that if things had not been resolved, I would have needed to move up the chain of command. That's a buzz term you'll use and you'll hear and use in the corporate world, is that you need to follow the chain of command. I do not go to the director, Chris Gates, a friend of mine, Chris. I don't have an issue and go to the director of the emergency department. Chris is over Mercy, South Market, Maine. I don't go to Chris. I go to my clinical supervisors. If I don't feel comfortable going to my clinical supervisors, I go to my manager. If I go to my clinical supervisors and something's not resolved, I then go to my manager. If I go to my manager and I do not feel like it is resolved, then I go to Chris. Or I go to the the director, somebody. So, kind of mention that at the end of the conflict thing. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? When I am interviewing a hairstylist and I say, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? I live in Shelby. We're 20,000 people. And Uptown is a very tight, close-knit area. Like all the business owners, we all know each other. So if I ask a hairstylist, and this has happened countless times with morons interviewing, hey, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? And they say, I'd really love to own my own hair salon, probably in Uptown Shelby. And of course, in my head, I'm thinking, did you just have the audacity to tell me in 3 to 5 years, you're going to leave my salon, take the clientele that I helped you build, and then be my competitor? Get the hell out of my freaking business. So that being said, all of us that want to go to CRNA school, all of us that want to go to nurse practitioner school, you do not talk about that. as a manager of a department, 3-tower, med surge, cardiac tele, ICU, whatever. I want, especially in today's time with everybody leaving for travel assignments, I want to know I'm hiring this nurse, and this nurse is invested and wants to grow in my department and stay in my department. And so, so when somebody says, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? This is what you say. I want to start my BSN as quickly as possible. I want to grow in my education. I want to grow in potential leadership and education. And I want to be here and on my way to being an extremely experienced and knowledgeable nurse. Do not say, I plan on staying in ICU for 2 years and going to CRNA school. I will not hire you. Sorry. I mean, in 5 years, I will most definitely be either an NP or on my way to be an NP. I'm not going to say that on Thursday when I have my interview. Hells no. Let's see here. Where do you see yourself? All right, so I've not been asked this, so I'm trying to think of if somebody asked me, when was a time that you were not kind to somebody, and how did you resolve it? I think just like it's kind of similar to that conflict question on like I want to see humility, I want to see communication, I want to see mentioning like this is important because unfortunately people gossip, and so if we resolve issues quickly and I don't want to use the term successfully, but you know what I mean. If we resolve situations, then that reduces the chance of that anger, that animosity, that gossip, that drama from spreading throughout the department. I think that's a good answer. I don't really know. Once again, I've never asked that question, nor have I been asked that question. I think that's it. If I have any other tips, I'll let you know. Tell me about yourself. What do I? That'll be the first question. What do I say here? Like, I want to know a little bit about your personal life, as far as like, I'm from Chicago, or I was born and raised in Charlotte, and I love this city, and whatever. Or I was born at this hospital. That shows a little bit of investment as well. I'm married, I've got kids, I was previously an engineer. I don't think we have any engineers in class, but you know what I mean. And don't be afraid. Like, don't be ashamed or like embarrassed if like your only other job was freaking Ingalls. Like, who cares? We are all ballers now. So, just confidently say, before this, I worked at a grocery store. I learned a lot. Just despite it being a grocery store at minimum wage, I learned, you're forced to have to talk to people and how to deal with, finances and, cash registers, and you have to, I don't know, like whatever, just fluff it up. It's all about fluffing it up. Tell us about yourself. Maybe if it's not too cliche, say like why you went to nursing school. Like my brother, or my uncle developed Lou Gehrig's disease, and I took care of him a lot. Strangely enough, as funny as it sounds, I actually enjoy taking care of trachs. I went on a medical missions trip with my church when I was in middle school, and just loved, whatever. And I always told myself I want to, be educated enough one day to take care of people like that, things like that. Tell us about yourself. I kind of, when I interview people, like, I want to know, like, like one or two things. I mean, I want to know if you say, I love traveling. So I've backpacked through all of Europe. I love New York. I go 4 times a year and see Broadway shows with my grandmother. It's an awesome thing that we always do together. I don't know, whatever, fill in the blank. I hunt and kill animals. What? I don't know. Yeah. So, because remember, like, I'm not just hiring you for your degree. I'm hiring you, like, I have a team, my nurses and my clinical supervisors that I need you to fit into. And if you don't, then I don't need you on my team. I don't need to hire somebody, and this is definitely like regarding the hairstylist at our salon. I don't need to hire somebody that is going to disrupt the family that we already have established. So, fluff yourself up. Everybody in our class is awesome. So yeah, that's not going to be difficult for anybody. But yeah, that's a 15-minute video.